Welcome to episode 158 of the Confidence Through Health podcast. In this episode, I speak with Lori Aloisio, who is a holistic health coach and a registered nurse. We talk about the connection and difference between the two of those. What got her inspired to helping people, specifically women, with their weight, with their understanding of who they are, which is much bigger than the weight issue. She helps people with trauma healing for weight loss, with mindset behind weight loss, the law of attraction when it comes to nutrition and foods and who you are. And we talk a lot about like how you manifest your life, how you manifest who you want to be, their purpose. We talk about habits versus intention. There's so much great information in this episode in regards to figuring out how to make the changes that you need to make in your life, whether it's regarding weight loss or not. Just how do you make those changes and how do you get to where you're understanding who you want to be and happy in who you are and making those life decisions to get to where you want to be and to have the life fulfilling or the fulfilling life that you want to have, and be able to live that and seek your purpose and your passion. Well, thank you, Lori, for being a guest on the Confidence Through Health podcast.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So there's a couple of things I want to talk about as far as like your history and your background so that people understand where you're coming from. But you're a registered nurse and a health coach. And so talk about like how that all came about, because obviously the nursing thing, you want to help people. And then like you probably went from a traditional medicine to more of a holistic health coaching, still helping people, but it's a little bit of a different mindset.
Yes, exactly. Well, it all started when I moved from Luxembourg to Finland. I was kind of like in a dark phase of my life at that point when I was in my early 20s, like just 20 years old. But then I found a book by Deepak Chopra and it's called Perfect Health. And this really changed my life. Really, like I noticed how like our mind has really like an influence over our body, how it's all connected. And then I really became passionate about like a healthy lifestyle, health, holistic health and all of that. And then somehow I found a leaflet about a university in Finland that was offering a bachelor in healthcare. And I was like, that's it. I felt this was so aligned. And then, of course, I applied. I got in. I studied healthcare. I became a registered nurse. But already during my studies, I really noticed that it is not really the way I would like to help people, because it's more about like getting rid of the symptoms, but not of the real reason behind it all. And that was something that already kind of bugged me during my studies. But then when I started to actually work in a health station, it became more and more obvious that it's a business. It's a healthcare industry. It's a business. They want to make money. They want to sell drugs. They want to sell those potions and whatever, the vaccines, everything that they're selling there.
Right.
And it's not so much about really getting down to the source, really helping people in a holistic way. And I actually even got into trouble when I was talking about essential oils, and my boss did not like it. I got into trouble and I was like, no, that's it. Like, I need to quit. I need to do my own thing. And actually, when I was working, I still started my own blog because I just needed an outlet, because I could not tell the patients what I actually want to tell them, how I could help them in a much more holistic way that does not have side effects, and which is so much cheaper and easier. But somehow I was not allowed to do it. So I started my blog, and then it just all kind of fell into place. And I became a health coach as well. And I studied nutrition, alternative medicine, and now I do my own thing.
And so from your boss didn't like that from the standpoint of like you were offering alternatives that were going to get to the root, that were going to heal, that were not, like, for lack of a better term, keeping them stuck on the system.
Yes. And the system is very, very important to them, because I can tell you, honestly, I'm already long gone, but like every week, there was like some salesperson from the pharma industry that came there, offered free lunches, free brunches, sometimes even trips to the doctors. Yeah. And they're kind of bribed. They're definitely bribed. Like, at least once a week, and sometimes even several times a week. And we even had those conventions or events that were like in the city center. We went there, and it was just basically a bunch of salespeople selling their drugs and products.
Right.
So yeah, but of course they don't want me to interfere there in their business.
Right. But so then you went to being more of a health coach. And you mentioned studying nutrition. So like you didn't get that when you went through a traditional medical school type of situation where you're getting nursing. Like they don't talk about nutrition, do they?
No, and that's something that most people don't know. And it's like, I think it's the same in the US, it's here in Europe, It's the same thing. They think doctors and nurses, they know something about nutrition. I think I studied nutrition maximum 2 weeks and just a little bit. And even when I studied it, it was a leaflet or like some flyers that were by the agriculture company that were kind of like given from by the agriculture companies, the dairy industry from Finland. So basically telling how good their products are and that people should use them. So it was like a marketing flyer. My nutrition schooling in nursing school was a marketing flyer. So it's, and most people don't know this, but really, also the doctors, they have no education about, like, they have never studied nutrition, really. Maybe like a week or two, but it's not something that we dive into very deeply. And it's sponsored as well.
Right. Yeah, unless they do it on their own time. Right. And they decide like, okay, I want to keep doing the doctor thing or the nurse thing, but I still want to. But then you, like you said, you butt into the bosses that say that's not the way we do it.
Yes. It's a weird thing.
Yeah. But so now as a health coach, like you're helping people get to the root cause, right? Because that's really the issue when it comes to whether it's health or, excess weight. It's like there's a root cause that's driving that, right?
Yeah. So basically now I specialize in weight loss for women. And it started already when I was working as a registered nurse. I was passionate about nutrition, and also somehow know how the universe works. In my agenda, there were tons of like obese patients or people that needed some help with weight loss. So I became really, really passionate about this. And that was really like becoming my focus point. And of course, I noticed that like it has a cost. Everything has a cost. The same as diseases like cancer, all of those chronic illnesses and diseases, they have a root cause. There is a reason why the body is acting that way, why it's behaving that way. And the same goes for weight loss. It has like excess weight. It has nothing to do with genetics. And so it's just all about like your beliefs, but also maybe sometimes even you had like some trauma and then your body thinks that, oh, I need to build up this protective shield. So there is always a much deeper reason behind it. And that's always like the first step that I do with my clients now is we find out, why does your body think that you need to have the excess weight? And there is no other why. Like, no, your body needs to think that you need it because otherwise you would not have it. Right. Because we have such amazing bodies that really just want to keep us in balance. And your body thinks that you having excess weight, that's how you are in balance. But you're not. But it can go back all the way to your childhood, that maybe like you were bullied, or maybe even just you overheard your grandma telling your mother, all of the women in our family are a little bit chubbier. This causes like this creates a limiting belief in your mind, and you hear this over and over and over again. So you create this reality for yourself. So it's even a limiting belief, or there was some trauma in the past where you really needed this excess weight for protection, or maybe even you are afraid to be seen. So that's also something I work a lot with, to just like be the real you and don't hide behind this weight, like live out your true self. And
so it's much more than counting calories or getting a certain amount of exercise in, because while those things work, like in the short term, it's that what's going to work in the long term, right? It's like you have to address and I say this issues with food when it's not really issues with food. It's like what is the food hiding, right?
Exactly. And like you said, like it's short term, of course it works. Like if you go on a diet, if you exercise a lot, it works. But long term, it's not sustainable and it does not work, because your body just wants to get you back into balance. So you're basically fighting against your body. And like what I do a lot with my clients as well is to really focus on taking aligned action. So I'm not really telling them how you should eat like this, you should exercise like this, but more like do what feels good. So when you have removed the initial reason, then do what feels good, because our body knows, our intuition knows. I always say, like, we need to follow our own GPS. And because I've seen this so much now that, like, women have gone to the gym really 3 hours per day and they have not lost any weight. Actually, they just created so much stress and cortisol in their body that they were doing the opposite. Their body was just holding on to the weight because of so much stress. So do what feels good. And I have seen this, and I can say it now, like, so many women lost weight by walking their dogs 3 times a day for half an hour. They lost weight easily. It stayed off. It never came back. And some women, like I said, they were 3 hours in the gym and it was just creating more excess weight. So it doesn't really matter what you do, but it needs to feel good. It needs to be aligned. And you need to remove the initial reason.
Right. And that's why it's like, it's okay to, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like the way that we've sort of gone as a society is like, you have to work 9 to 5, you have to da, like you have all these things, because like, what if my body doesn't want that right now?
Exactly.
Right? Like, and what if I need to take a nap every day because that's what my body is calling for? And that might not be a long-term thing, but it's just like in this moment, right?
Yes, especially also for us women, this is so bad. Like, because I work mainly with women, we are not designed to have a 9 to 5 job. That's more like, because that's how men function. You know, women have a monthly cycle, men have a daily cycle. So your energy level is so much higher in the morning, and then it kind of like goes down during like 5 o'clock, you know, in the afternoon. So that's perfectly designed for men. But for women, we have a monthly cycle. So there's weeks during the month where we have so much more energy and we can do it. We feel like we can do it all. We feel more social. But then during the other weeks of the month, we just want to go inward. We just want to sit on the couch, read a book, reflect, connect to our guides or the universe, whatever. But do some meditation. And we should do that. But now actually this is also a reason behind the excess weight for so many women, because they're so out of balance. They are doing these corporate jobs, this 9 to 5, sometimes even 9 to 9 jobs. And they are in this very masculine environment that they are not taking care of their femininity, of their feminine balance. And this creates excess weight. And it's just, it's very, very chaotic at the moment, especially like if you look into like the corporate world and all of this. And it's even like, nowadays, it's sometimes even pushed by women who are so out of balance, who think that's the way it should be. We should have all of this. We should act like men, but we should not. We are not men, and we should not act like them. And we need to really take care of ourselves.
Well, and there is a delicate balance there, right? Like, and if you're not in tune with your body because you're so stressed, like you're not going to feel that. You're not going to, and it really does come down to, like you were saying before, it's like what feels good. It's like you have to be in tune with your body to know what feels good, right?
Yes. And it's all, you also need to know who you are. That's also what I do a lot, is like to actually, who are you? Because nowadays, even before COVID, we were wearing those masks. We were hiding behind a facade, behind a mask. We were doing what our parents wanted to do, or like wants to do us, and all of those things. We are hiding. We are people pleasing. We are not our real selves. And even when somebody asks me, what do you do? I always say, I help women manifest weight loss and live a life with purpose and passion. Because those two, they're going hand in hand. Yeah. You need to be the real you. And even like when it comes to excess weight, like I'm never telling people like, you need to lose weight. Like, no, it's all about you being the real you. So if you feel like excess weight is in the way of you being the real you, then you should lose weight. But if you feel like, no, this is me, I feel good, this feels aligned, this is just about how I like it, okay, that's fine. Like, don't need to lose weight, but we can feel it. We can feel this. There is something in the way. There is some resistance, some blockage. I just want to break free. I want to break out. And that's like with women I work with, to just help them break out, help them break free and be their real selves.
Well, and you mentioned manifesting it, like, because that's different from like following a formula. Yes. So how do you manifest, like, whether it's weight loss or, you know, any other part of your life that you want to get better? Like, how do you manifest that?
Yes, I think manifesting, it's all about embodying. It's not so much about, I think many people are nowadays familiar with like journaling, scripting, vision boards, like all of those things, affirmations. They are really good, but they are just helpers. They are helping us to embody our future version. So it's all about embodying what you want to manifest, embodying your desires. And that's why it's so important to find out, first of all, who are you? Right. What do you want? Yeah. What makes you happy? And I always give my clients this exercise, like, what makes you happy? When do you feel like you're in the flow? You know, I just have this fire inside of you, just like, I want to do this. I could do this for hours. I love it. I'm passionate about it. Like, if that's the thing, do more of that.
Right.
Like, what are those things? Because I don't think there's like a coincidence, or like, no, if you're passionate about this, you are meant to do that. This is kind of like your purpose and your mission. And the more you do that, the more you're going to manifest all of your other desires as well, because you're on much higher frequency. You're like raising up your vibration. And we all know the better we feel, the better our life is, the more we like manifest our desires. If we have a shitty day, we're going to be stuck in traffic. People are going to people are going to yell at us. It's like the way it is. But if we wake up really happy, we're just having a great day, and people are going to be nice to us. And it's the way the universe works.
So how can we reset that? Like, say that we did have a moment that was really horrible or bad during the day, and we're like, that's not how I want the rest of my day to go. Like, right. Because now I'm in touch with what's going on, and I can see, like, if I don't do something, it's going to go the wrong way. Like, how do we stop that in like, maybe not in the exact moment, but like 10 minutes afterwards, we go, okay, wait, I gotta reset. Is there a way to reset?
There is, and I use music a lot. Like, music is something so easy, so simple. Everybody can do it. Make yourself a playlist. I have like some playlists from my like Wild Woman playlist, or like Boss Babe, whatever you need at the moment. Like, create a playlist, or just a Zen chill playlist. Create a bunch of playlists for how you want to feel. And music is so easy. It's just like kind of like a quick fix in that way, that it really helps you to change your mood immediately. So that's something that if you just feel down, you don't want to journal, you don't want to meditate, you feel like, no, you can push the play button on Spotify. Like, you can do it, that everybody can do that. So listen to music, even like if you're working, just go into the toilet for 5 minutes, listen to the song for like, and then it's going to change your mood immediately.
Right.
So that is something that you can do. But of course, long term as well, like, write down why you're doing it. Like, why do you want to change your life? Because the whys are also very important. That are the things that are really helping you push through like the hardship. Let's say if you feel like really crap, it's like, no, I'm actually doing this because I want to have this nice life. And if you have the list of like your whys, and sometimes even, especially for women, it's important that maybe there's like some family members or your children in the whys as well, because then it gives us more this fire, this passion behind our butt, let's say, to really push through it. And so have a list of whys ready and a good playlist, and it's helpful. It's easy and it's helpful.
Those whys need to be connected to like the original root cause that you found, right? Yes. Like, it works better that way. Like, it doesn't have to be, but it works better. It's better than like, my why is, and I know I get clients like this, I'm sure you do too, is like, oh, I'm getting married in 6 months and I want to fit in the perfect dress. Like, okay, well, that's a short term. That's not a, like, what's the long term is like, I want to be around to see my grandkids get married. And so I've got to make changes that are much more longer term. And those are going to stick longer, I think, because there's more of a emotional connection to that.
Yes, right? When there's other people involved, it's always so much more stronger. But like, for example, when you said like, I want to fit into my wedding dress because I want to look good. So what I would do, I would dig a little bit deeper. Like, why is that so important to you? Maybe that's because like at some point your mother said like, oh, you look ugly in this other dress that you were wearing when you were 7 years old. And like, how made that like feel? Like, how did that make you feel? And so it's always about like digging deeper, finding out the main reason, because it's not so much about the wedding dress. I think it's more about the approval from other people and so on, to really find out what is this reason, and then to change that. And
well, and to go back to music, so I'm a runner and I run in a lot of races, and like, it was interesting to me. I'm coaching a girl who's in high school who's trying to get a college scholarship, and she was struggling with her workouts, which she was doing by herself. And I said, do you listen to music when you run? Like, not like while you're doing your actual hard rep, but like in between or right before, like to get yourself in the mood for it. And she goes, no. And I was like, okay, you need to start doing that. Like, you're in your head too much. You're thinking too much about all the different possibilities of, oh my gosh, if I don't do this perfect, it's going to lead to this and lead to that. I'm like, just clear all the clutter out and listen to, and that's one of the things I do before all my races. I have the same playlist, and like my wife tells me she can see it in my face when a certain song comes on, because like she can't hear it obviously, but she can see it in my face when it comes on, because I immediately switch to like, now I'm competitive. And it's like, getting your body ready for that. And I think that's, a lot of people see that in athletics, but that can go for so many other areas of life, of like just finding that thing that can reset you and cause you, but also brings you back to like, okay, this is where I was when I was really good and happy. Right. And that's where we need to go. We need to go back to that spot versus being in the moment of like, I'm upset. It's been horrible. Other things are acting on me. I've got to take control back.
Yes. Yeah, and that's also like the way I use music as well. I use music even as a manifestation tool. Like we were talking about the law of attraction, but I do that. Like usually in the evening when I'm cooking, I always put on some really nice music. I kind of visualize what I want to manifest. And those songs, when I hear them, let's say on the radio, in the car, wherever I am, they bring me back to this moment where I was visualizing like what I desire and how I was feeling. So it's kind of like this memory that we can create for ourselves to bring us back into those like good feelings. And
and it's almost like a memory for the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Because like you're saying, okay, well, I want to bring myself back to when I was happy, because I know when I was happy, then this other thing that happened, it was really good after that. And so like, I'm trying to set myself up to recreate the future that hasn't happened yet, which is, I think, a little strange for some people. But when you connect to your body and you understand how the law of attraction works, like it becomes very easy to manifest that in your life.
Yes. And it's also something that you can use to like, even if something has happened in the past, but you can even use this technique, I think, to kind of reprogram your beliefs about the past. Like, because that's something that I sometimes do, that like, for example, you were bullied in school, but somebody was mean to you. But how would you have wanted this person to actually act? And then just go back and visualize this person acting in a way that would be more beneficial for you, would be better, would make you happy. Yeah. And you can use even smell, music, like tasty, whatever you want, but you can create this memory for yourself. And then it's easy then to change these limiting beliefs that you have in your mind if you have created something like that for yourself.
Right. And those limiting beliefs are huge, especially in the health world, and in like, because, research has proven that if you tell yourself I'm going to have cancer, then you're more likely to get cancer. If you tell yourself you're going to have this, you're more likely, like, or if you tell yourself I'm going to live to whatever age, like you're more likely to get there, minus, getting in a horrific car accident or something like that. But from a health standpoint, you're more likely to get there because you're allowing your body to believe in yourself.
Yes. And the funny thing about limiting beliefs is that they are not ours. Like they are never, our limiting beliefs are never ours. We are not born with limiting beliefs. Usually they come from our like close family or society, the culture we are in, media, the news, whatever it is. But that's an exercise I also always do with my clients, is I let them write down the limiting beliefs and the source. And I would say 99%, like, it's not their own limiting belief. It's something that, like I said in the beginning, like the mother said, the grandmother said, their spouse said, a teacher said, maybe even sometimes the doctor has said it. And now it's like their own limiting belief. But it's not theirs. So always, if you have a lot of limiting beliefs, write them down and write down the source. Where did you hear this first? Try to go back as far as possible. And But this is actually something that I saw also a lot of doctors do, especially like you mentioned, cancer and so on. Like they are putting those limiting beliefs in, like the patient gets, and I worked for like 6 weeks during my studies on the cancer ward. And I've seen this myself, like the patient gets diagnosed with cancer and then immediately, of course, they have like this kind of like a trauma response. And then they get immediately like put into like this business wheel, and I like to call, like, you need to do this, you need to do that, otherwise you will die. Right. So you have like the diagnosis, then you have the patient who's already traumatized, but just getting the diagnosis. And then he needs to sign immediately the documents to enroll into the treatment, which is going to be chemotherapy and radiation, all of those things. And he does not even have time to digest the information, make his own decisions, look for alternatives and so on. So it's immediately shoved into the system. And the doctors are saying like, oh yeah, if you don't do this, your life expectancy is going to be this and this, and you're going to probably die by then, and you have this kind of a survival chance,
Right.
like 60%, 40%, whatever it is. And this is a limiting belief. And I was so shocked, and I'm still shocked nowadays that they are allowed to do this. Because if there's like a doctor sitting in a white coat telling you, you will never lose weight, you will always be overweight because of your family, or you're going to have cancer forever, or you're going to die in 10 months, you're going to think it's real. You're going to think, oh, this guy has studied, he knows everything, he's wearing this white coat, so he's like the God Almighty.
Right.
But it's just not true. Those are just his limiting beliefs as well.
Right.
So I really want people to know that. No.
That's where when you hear stories of, and when you get into the holistic world and you start researching and like, okay, what are the techniques that are working? What are tried and true? Like not medical, traditional medical, but like going back to the ancient Chinese, going back to the ancient, like what are they using? What herbs, what nature, how is that working and all? And then you hear stories of like, okay, this person was diagnosed, like you said, with a terminal illness and given 6 months to live. But then 4 years later, there's no trace of the illness in them and they're still alive and they're fine. Mm-hmm. But they didn't do what the doctor told them to do, right? Yes. They went out and said, no, there's another way. Let me go find out how to do this. I have a friend who I coached her son in football. She joked, she got diagnosed with cancer and she went the complete opposite of traditional medicine. And we were at a football game and she joked one time, she was like, she looked at her minivan and she goes, I can cure cancer in that minivan. And I looked at her and I said, I know you can, because you were told you were going to be dead by now. And everything that in that minivan has kept you alive, all her essential oils and all her herbs. And I was like, it's true. It's out there and the possibilities are there, but it's like you said earlier, it's not making money for the business side of it.
Yes, exactly. And also it has nothing to do with genetics, like even like all of those things, but also like excess weight. And so this is actually something I talked about even with some person like today, that many times we think like all of those diseases, they are running in the family, like it's genetics. My grandma had breast cancer, my mother, so now of course I'm doomed as well and I have it too. But it's not true. Like something that runs in the family is the lifestyle, the routine, the habits, and those limiting beliefs.
Right.
So that's also something like I want people to know, that it's not about the genetics. Like it's not written somewhere in stone that you will never be healthy, that you're going to suffer from this disease or from excess weight. No.
Right.
You can change it. If you desire it and you want it, you can change it.
Yeah. And so you mentioned habits in there, like it is, because it's the habits that are passed down, in the lifestyle. A lot of people call it lifestyle, but it's habits. It's I eat this meal on Sunday with the family because that's what we've always done. And, whether that meal is unhealthy or maybe the toxic environment of being around the family because it's just not a good environment for whatever reason. But talk about like, okay, well, we've got habits, but we should be doing the intentional things that make us feel good. Like you said earlier about like, it's not about exercising so much. It's about how you do the things that make you feel good, like choosing that intention over the habit, right?
Yes, exactly. And our body knows, like naturally we are drawn to like fresh fruits. Like if there's some strawberry growing, we want to eat them. Like even as small children, we just like, wow, it's colorful, it smells good. And like we want to have them. And an exercise that I always do with my clients as well is I send them to the supermarket. Yeah. And like I tell them, go through the aisles, like smell, take it in with your eyes. What are you drawn towards? And like it's always leafy greens, colorful fruits, some nice vegetables. They are not drawn towards like the cereal boxes and everything that's in the frozen section or in containers, like in card boxes. Like it's not that. We are not drawn towards those things. And that's why they spend billions of dollars in the marketing, like advertising and all of those departments, because otherwise we would never look at that. It's just ugly. It smells, doesn't even smell sometimes it just smells bad. It's just like it's not for our senses. But naturally we are drawn towards the fresh fruits, vegetables, and everything like that. So yeah, it's just go back all the way and restart and listen to your intuition, listen to your body, because your body knows.
Well, and that's that law of attraction, right? That you're drawn to those things. And if we skip over that because we're told it doesn't taste as good as the sugary stuff, or because of advertising or whatever the case may be, it's like we pass by that. But really, in most grocery stores, the produce is in the front, you walk in, the produce is right there. And then like, you really don't have to go much farther in the store.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But the thing that I also noticed is that, like, especially when I just started to follow plant-based diets, and people ask me, what do you eat?
Yeah.
I was like, here, so much things, but they're not seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the first step is to really open your eyes and see it. Because even like when we're in the super, for me now, I just see those things. Like
Right.
I see the healthy things. I don't even see the other stuff because I don't focus on that.
Right.
But for many people, they don't see it. And I really started to understand that they don't see it. Mm-hmm. So the first step really is to open your eyes. When you go in there, like look around, what can you see? Maybe some things you're not familiar with, like what is that? Try to find out, investigate a little bit, because we are so like robots behaving sometimes that we just have this focus and we're just attracted to the things that are familiar to us. Right. So the first step is open your eyes and look around for real. Really try to to change your view.
And sometimes that means going to a different store because, stores carry what people buy. And so if you go in and you're like, I don't see enough of variety for what I would like, or you really don't like certain vegetables and like that's all they seem to carry, then go to a different store because the other store is probably going to have a wider variety of stuff. Yes, exactly. And even when you go to the store, like to this new store, it would be great to just listen to good music when you drive there, to really imprint it with some really good memories, like some high vibration, really make it an adventure, make it feel good. So whenever you go back, your body remembers this and it's just going to feel even better. So it's something that you can easily play with. Everybody can do it. It does not cost a thing, but you can kind of brainwash yourself a little bit in that way to just make it a positive experience. So a lot of things we're talking about are like behavior changes, right? And that transformational piece that I know you talk about a lot with your clients is it's not transforming from a weight loss standpoint necessarily, although that will happen, like you said, if your body needs it. But it's the behavior changes, right? It's and so how does somebody, if they're stuck and they're I've been doing this I've lived my life this way for 35 years. There's no way I'm going to change because I'm too old, right? Is that true? Or is it no, you can change. You just have to go through a few steps. No, you can change easily. And there is no such thing as too old, especially if you desire it. So I always say, if you now listen to this episode, you are drawn to it. There's a reason you're listening to it. You desire it. You want it. And you are meant to do it. Right. So that's no matter if you're 80 years old, it does not matter. There's no such thing as too late. But so the first step is always find out the real reason behind it, your limiting beliefs, but also always act from a point of self-love. Mm-hmm. You should never want to lose weight because you hate yourself, but you should want to lose weight because you love yourself. Ooh, and good. When you act from a point of loving yourself, it's going to be easy because you do it because you love yourself. You're doing it out of love. And we know if you do something out of love, it's such an enjoyment. It brings so much pleasure. It's amazing. Yeah. So do that. Do it because you love yourself, not because you hate yourself. And if you currently are thinking you hate yourself, then again, that's more limiting belief. So stop. Right. Start from there. Right. And why? And I can immediately think of the athletes that I coach or myself when I've been in a position where I had to take a lot of time off or something for an injury or something. And I gained a little bit of weight and I lost my endurance and I lost, and then I start back and it's oh my gosh, this is miserable. How did I let myself get out of shape? Well, it was a good reason I had to recover from an injury or whatever, right? But it's I immediately go to the other side of it instead of, oh, I get to do this again. Let's get going. It's, oh my gosh, how did I get myself to this point? It's going to take me so long to get back to where I need to be. And yeah, I should be flipping that. Yes. And looking at it the other way. Yeah. The way I like to say, some people think it's crazy and cringe, but I love to see it that way, is that we are made of billions, if not trillions of cells, of little cells, which are organisms, which are living beings. It's kind of like our pets. We carry our own zoo here with us. Right. So you would never say this to a child. You would never say this to your puppy, your dog, your cat, whatever animal you have. So, but we are just a composition of those little cells that are living organisms, that are living beings. And I truly believe that
they feel the emotions that we are sending them. They're feeling like, oh, she loves me, she hates me. And we should be on good terms with those cells, with our body, and like the bacteria, our biome, everything.
Right.
It's a living organism. So we should treat it with kindness and with love, because then again, it's going to come back even more,
Right.
like back to us tenfold. So
Right.
yeah, I like to see it like that, to just small little animals, small little organisms. And if you see it that way, you just want to send love to it. Like I said,
Right.
with a dog or cat, you're not going to send hate to it.
No, and I love that analogy, because I tell people that a lot, is that, your cells are going to feed off of what you give them, not just from a nutrition standpoint, but also like what you tell them and how you react to them. And they're there to help, like they're your best friends.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like
that's
they're
how
there
I
to help
see it.
you. And so like, if you're in a bad relationship and you might not see it, but your friends see it, a lot of times they tell you're in a bad relationship. You need to move on. You need to change. You need, but you might not see it. And so a lot of times, like, I think that's where people like you and me come along, because like a lot of times people don't understand and they can't get to that point, or they've buried it. Right. And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. And so they're on this wheel that's just turning the wrong direction. And a lot of times they need somebody to come along and say, whoa, hold on.
Yes.
It's okay to dig down. Let's dig down. Let's figure out what it is so that we can go back to the right path, right?
Yes, exactly. And all of those symptoms that we have, maybe it's just a headache, a cough, or at some point maybe cancer, but it's our body talking to us. It's our friend circle, our friends who are telling, pay attention, you are out of alignment. This is not good for you. Maybe you need to quit your job. Maybe you need to move to another country. You need to break up with your partner. But here's something out of alignment. Or maybe even this food does not suit us. But symptoms are just your body talking to you. That's it. And the more you try to numb those symptoms down, oftentimes with medication and drugs, the more your body needs to start to yell, and then it's shouting, and then it's really starting to push you around a little bit to get your attention.
Yeah.
So the worse and worse it gets. But so the secret here is to start to really listen, to have this good relationship with your body, and to really notice like, oh, like my cells, they mentioned this is maybe not a good idea. So to really start from in the beginning, so it does not escalate. And but even if it escalated, it's still fine. You can always reverse it, because your body is designed that way. Like it's designed to keep you alive and in balance. And
well, and not just the cells, but the bacteria in your gut, they want to stay alive too. Like
exactly,
they don't want to kill you off.
No.
They want to stay alive, and so a lot of times and that's what I tell people when it's like, okay, well, you ate something that wasn't like super nutritious, or it had zero benefit for you, and then 30 minutes later you're hungry again. Well, yeah, I mean that makes sense, because your body's saying, hey, that was fine that you ate that over there, but I still need the nutrients. I still need the vitamins and the minerals and the enzymes and all of those things, because otherwise I can't operate anymore.
Exactly. And I think that's something women also, like all the people that want to lose weight, need to understand, that hunger is not a bad thing. Right. You're always hungry because your body needs something. You're not just hungry randomly like that. No, it's not a coincidence. It's not your genetics. It's not your doom. It's not your mental health, whatever. If you feel hungry, you need to eat something. And like I said, we women especially, like we have this monthly cycle, and sometimes our metabolism is faster, sometimes it's slower. So during our menstrual phase, for example, it's so much faster. Of course, we are craving carbs. Of course, we are craving like sometimes this chocolate, especially if we're on a diet and we're not eating enough, because our body just needs this. Our body just needs food, needs nutrients, because the metabolism is faster.
Right.
But we need to listen, and it's not a bad thing. Again, our body is our ally, and it's not wanting us to like have excess weight. No, it just wants us to be healthy and in balance.
Right. And like you said, so for some people that is healthy is carrying a little bit of extra weight compared to like what the doctors say is there should be their normal weight or their ideal weight, right? Because ideal is not like what a chart tells you.
No, I think nowadays, especially this BMI, like it's just, it's not working at all. There's people taller, there's athletes and muscle mass, all of that. So now, I truly believe that everybody knows best what's good for them. But in order for this to really work, you need to sit down, you need to really have this conversation with yourself to really start to listen, get back into alignment, because we are brainwashed by society. We are kind of brainwashed by our family limiting beliefs and all of those things. And sometimes even like if we eat bad food, our brain does not function well. Like if we're just like full of like sugar and all of those things and like sodas and all of those fast food stuff, our brain does not really work. So of course we don't really understand. But if we start to eat healthier, our brain functions better, and then we are more in alignment, and then it's time to really listen to our own intuition, our own GPS, because it's guiding us.
Yep. Well, and that's what I love about when I get people to get off of some of those foods and they're, to remove those from their diet, not necessarily from an elimination standpoint, but just to decrease the number of, times that they're eating out like fast food and things like that, that like, then they'll come to me and they'll say, oh my gosh, I can tell that I felt bad. Like, did I feel bad all the time? I never felt bad before. I was like, yeah, well, you were always bad, right? Like it was just a constant state of feeling bad. So you didn't know what good felt like anymore, because like you said, we're brainwashed by society as far as like advertising and things like that, but your body can be brainwashed by the poor nutrition as well.
Yeah, our body adapts always.
Yeah.
So it's like, it becomes our comfort zone as well. For some people, even feeling bad is their comfort zone. And then they have like this upper limit problem that, oh, I'm feeling good. Oh, something bad is going to happen because I all the time felt bad. So like, so
something's got to bring me back down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that like, I know in that way, I know that like food carries vibration and energy. Right. So the healthier your food is, the fresher, the more local, organic, your energy automatically increases, like your frequency, your vibrancy. You're just going to feel so much better because you're eating food that has this elevated frequency that is already on a higher like vibration.
Right.
And of course you're going to feel good. But then if you eat, let's say, frozen food or fast food or like dead bodies and so on, of course it's going to lower your vibration, your frequency, because it's vibrating on a lower. So you're just ingesting basically something that is going to lower your frequency. Right. But it's better if you ingest something, you eat something that is raising it. So you can really play with that. And that's something I noticed so much when I started like my healthy journey, because my mind functioned different. I felt good, but it's not just you feel good because it's healthy, but you also feel good because of the elevated frequency and vibration.
Right. Well, and you connect better with things, right? Both with people and with nature. And it's like the smells are different. Like it's like you get to a whole new level of connection with the world around us when you are at that vibration, I think.
Yes, exactly. This is like, then it opens up like your spiritual journey as well.
Right.
And then you grow into self-development, which is like opening so many other doors. So, but it's all working hand in hand.
Yeah.
But I think like with me, it started with the food. I started to really eat healthy. And then, of course, like somehow like my spiritual journey started to appear. And then I started to meditate and reading all of those self-development books. So because, it just was aligned. And But it's for so many. I see this so many times happening, even to my clients. Who were like, oh, wow, you're now interested in this? Oh, interesting. I would never expect it. I'm like, oh, wow, nice to see that you're reading this book. And like,
Yeah.
But it's something that happens really naturally.
No, I agree. And I think it's like with our bodies, if we start feeding them properly, we start getting more attracted to those foods, and we start to realize that like, oh, I do want to move. I do want to do things out in nature. But like you said, for your mind, it's the same thing. You start, because that's what happened to me is like all of a sudden I started like, oh my gosh, I can see things clearer. And like the world is coming into picture of like, oh, we're missing the boat on so many things in how we act in society for whatever reason that society has gone that direction. But like, oh my gosh, we would be so much better if we just sat back and relaxed and helped other people versus trying to be such a competitive, cutthroat business type of world.
Yes, exactly. And I think we are all designed that way. We are all designed or meant to feel this way, to know this. But because of like to our lifestyles nowadays, if it's the job and the food, the stress and everything, it's kind of like causing this resistance. It is blocking us to be this way.
Right.
But everybody can, and everybody should actually, because we are designed that way. So again, it has nothing to do with like your personality or something. Like people think that it's their personality, that's just the way they are. No, it's not. Yeah. Like we are all kind of designed that way to be more aware, to be more connected with each other, with nature, with ourselves. But, and if you're currently not, that just means that there is something blocking it, or there's something that's causing resistance. But you are designed. We are humans. We are designed that way. That's how we should live. That's how we should act.
Right. And I think when you do that, and like that gets into really like dictating your longevity, because like your body realizes, like we talked about, like it wants to stay around longer. And so it's going to take better care of you. And because now you have more of a purpose, and it's like, oh, okay, let's go do this. Let's go, like, let's take care of ourselves. Because I go to I don't know how many times I've been out and about, whether it's a grocery store or wherever. And somebody will ask me a question and they're like, oh, well, you're like 30, 35, right? And I'm like, no, I'm almost 50. And they're like, oh my gosh, they're shocked because of like the way my skin looks and the way I feel, the way I look. And I was like, they're like, there's no way that you could be that old. And I'm like, oh no, yeah, it's my body, it doesn't act that old. Right. Like it's like, because I take care of it, I feed it right. And so it's like, my body is saying, oh, no. Let's just go this aging thing as slow as possible so that we can do as much as possible of your purpose and passion in the world.
Exactly. And it just feels better. It just feels good. And we want to hang long around like when it feels good, when life is just good. And that's where law of attraction comes into play again, because we are creating our reality. So the better we feel, the better are the things that we attract. Because when we feel shitty, we're just going to attract shitty things.
Right.
But if you feel good, we're just going to attract great things. So of course, if life is nice and it feels good, you are acting out of purpose and passion. It's just you want to be around, and your body can feel that too. And I truly believe that like our body can feel our intention. So when we want to stick around, when we have this purpose, this passion, we feeling good, our body says, okay, let's do more of this. That's good. Right. But like, because I truly believe that we can think ourselves to the death, basically. We can think ourselves sick, but we can, if you think like, oh, this is shitty, like I don't like this, like I want to die, your body acts on your commands. So you can literally think yourself like to like dying. Right. But you can do the opposite. And that's what we are here to do. Like we can do the opposite too. And and we see that, like you see that in old married couples that, you know, where one of them passes away and like they were everything to each other, and the spouse that's still living, like a lot of times they have no real health issues, no real anything, and then they pass away within like a month. Yeah, and everybody's this happened like, to my grandparents.
And it's like, and it's because like, okay, well, my purpose and passion was my spouse, and like, okay, well, I don't have really anything else to do, so there's no reason to be here. Which, I mean, that can be good or bad. It doesn't really, you know, but but you see it happening. People are like, how did they pass away? They had so much to live for, or so much to do, or, you know, so many more years left. But for them, you know, that was it. They didn't need to. And so, like you said, you sort of, not that they necessarily thought that like, I want to die to be with them and with the other life or whatever. But when you don't have anything else to live for, then you're basically asking yourself to die, right?
Yes, exactly. Like I said, this happened to my grandma. Like when my grandpa died, like I think it was not even 6 months, I think. No, actually 4 months. And then my grandma just died. And she was really healthy. She was active. And like, she was even like, so there was even like a glass of wine and she was enjoying herself. And then just from one moment to the other, she was gone, which in a way was really great for us because she had no pain. She was not suffering at all. It was that way, really great death. Yeah. But like, I could really see it. And I really realized that too. And then, but I think maybe there's also some soul contracts, and I don't know, this is like a really deep spiritual topic, but there's like many reasons probably behind that. But yes, but it's all about, again, knowing who you are, finding your mission, like your purpose, your passion, not really finding it, but more like reconnecting with it because we have this inner knowledge. And then just being you. It's all about being the real you, like losing weight, being healthy, all of this. It's being the real you.
Right. Like you said, it's taking the mask off and saying like, okay, this
Mhm.
is, whether it's upsetting to society or somebody in your life or whatever, it's like, but if I'm not happy with who I am, like, then I need to reset, and I need to go back to where I know I can be happy, and like take the time to figure out what that is. What do I need to do? What do I need to be? And how do I need to live every day to be able to do that?
Yes, exactly. And also knowing that you are worthy of it.
Right.
Because so many times people think that they're not worthy of it. Like they're not worthy of their desires. They're not worthy of being happy. They're not worthy of being healthy.
Yeah.
They feel guilty, or they feel like, oh, like it cannot be so good. Like maybe they have a really successful career, but they have some health issues. Or maybe they're overweight because they think they cannot have it all.
Right.
But you can have it all. There's nobody judging you, like sitting in the sky judging, oh no, you cannot have this. If you have this nice house, you cannot have this health. Like
right.
there always turns to be something off or something bad. But
right.
That is not the truth. Again, that's a limiting belief. Like everybody is worthy of a healthy, happy life, and we can have it all.
Right. And you just have to remember that whatever your all is different from somebody else's. And so like not to fall into that comparison piece, right? Because then you start getting into limiting beliefs again, and you start a whole nother snowball just in a different area.
Yes. Again, know who you are and go for it, and know that you're deserving of it, and actually that you're meant to have it, because otherwise you would not have this desire. I truly believe that when you desire something, you're supposed to have it. If you like really, if it's your desire, again, not society's desire, not your parents' desire, but if it's your desire, and you can really feel that it's kind of lighting you up, just the idea of having it or being it, then it's meant for you. Otherwise, you would not have it. And it's really, we're all on these different journeys. And some people love living in a van. Some people love being in a mansion. Some people love doing public speaking. Some other people like to write a book in quietness. Like, it's like, yeah, we're all different, but we all come here with this purpose, and we are meant to live it out as well. Yep.
No, I greatly agree with that. And so I want to give you an opportunity to let people know how they could follow you online, how they can connect with you. If this was an episode that they were like, okay, wait a minute, now I really do need to make some changes and do some work, and I need to connect with Lori to be able to help me get that started. How can they do that?
Yes, well, on Instagram, I'm there as well at Aloisio, just my name. And then, of course, my website is healthyandfreelife.com. And yeah, and if you decide to work with me, I also have a coupon code for you. Just use aligned, like just the word aligned, and you will get 11% off my programs.
Awesome. Well, I will connect all that in the show notes as well, so they can make sure that they've got that. I greatly appreciate being on. I think this is a great conversation, and I think it's really helpful. I learned some things, and so I think it's going to be really helpful for all my listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.